Hello everyone! Today we will be taking you all on a journey to the dawn of the English language, and we will be discussing the four main transitions of English that led us to the language we all speak today. You will be able to visualize the transitions through a back and forth text message conversation between two people. The conversation will entail phrases from very early English, which was spoken from 450 to 1066, and will slowly evolve into Middle English, which was spoken from 1066 to 1450, then Early Modern English from 1450 to 1690, and finally into how we speak English today as Modern English, which all started being spoken in 1690. And now we will start off from the very beginning of our language in 450 of the Common Era.
Old English is the earliest historical form of English and was spoken approximately from 500 to 1100 AD. Old English was first brought to the British Isles in the 5th century by the Germanic tribes the Angles, Saxons, and Jutes, but Viking invaders in the 8th to 10th centuries contributed new borrowings from Old Norse. The grammar of Old English is quite different from that of Modern English, being significantly more inflected. This categorized Old English as a synthetic language, which is a language that uses inflection to express syntactic relationships within a sentence. Old English also varied from Modern English by having grammatical gender with nouns and adjectives. Old English is mostly incomprehensible to a modern English speaker due to the significant changes that the language will undergo through the next 1,000 years.
The when that began, the transition from Old English to Middle English, was the Norman conquest of 1066, when William the Conqueror invaded the island of Britain from his home in France. In regards to the grammatical and sentence structure changes, one major thing was that the inflectional endings were largely dropped. Old English used these endings to tell if something was a direct or indirect object, and without inflections to indicate how a word was being used in a sentence. Middle English speakers began to rely more on word order, set in what is today called as subject-verb-object order. Further, grammatical gender also completely went away in this transition, and lastly, spellings also changed. Later Middle English shows heavy French borrowing as the writing was being done by French-trained scribes.
The shift from Middle English to Early Modern English occurred towards the end of the 1400s and into the early 1500s. Shifting into Early Modern English brought the emergence of writings by William Shakespeare and Ben Jonson. This time was greatly highlighted by the Great Vowel Shift. Much of the language ended up becoming reconstructed in that we saw long vowels were shifted upwards. This meant that lower vowels became mid vowels, and mid vowels became high vowels, and high vowels became diphthongs. During this time, the grammar also shifted towards removing the inflectional system that was used in Old English and slightly in Middle English. When looking at the syntax and word order in these sentences, the subject-verb-object order that we started to see in Middle English became further cemented and remained to stay like that all the way through into Modern English. This started to make English much more reliant on word order, unlike in earlier times when the inflectional system was used to show a specific word's function.
Early Modern English is still so accessible to us today, and it is still widely understood. This is because this era had very prominent figures who gained great momentum, and their work is still highly valued today. This also may be the case since technology was also advancing during this time period, and printing text was just being introduced by William Caxton. Technology has the ability to preserve our language, and it continues to till this day.
With the transition from Early Modern English to Modern English, pronunciation, grammar, and spelling have stayed mostly the same. However, there is a significant difference in vocabulary. There are three main influences that led to this shift in English. First was the rise of the British Empire. With the British Empire expanding, English began to spread and reach more parts of the world, which led to English borrowing more words from other languages. Second was the Industrial Revolution. With new inventions and discoveries being formed, there became a need for new words to describe them. This led to many new neologisms. Lastly, technological advancements led to new ways to communicate, such as through text and email. Technology changed the way we communicated with each other by making our sentences more concise and straight to the point, by incorporating slang and abbreviations. One of the more popular additions to how we communicate in modern English is through the use of emojis. Emojis allow us to add context to text as well as alter the pragmatics of a sentence. Although technological advances seem to have almost created a new phase which modern English precedes, the meanings behind our spoken language has stayed the same.
Overall, we hope you have gained a lot of insight into the evolution of the English language, and we hope that you have lots of questions for us. But to end off, we would like to leave you with 2 questions which we thought would spark some thoughts in your mind. 1. Which phase of English can we start to decipher words that are similar to English that we understand today? And the second question is, how far into the future do you think our language that we speak right now will be foreign to an English speaker at the time? That brings us to the end of our presentation. We hope you enjoyed.